Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. And I must say that I'm so delighted that I am in front of a camera again after a little while. So, ordinarily, what we do on this channel is that we sermonize ourselves and share knowledge of the Bible and, of course, Christ. But today I'm being led to do something very different. So it's something I've always done, but outside of the confines of this channel, which is life coaching. So as a life coach, I'll be talking about potential discovery today, meaning that I have to bring my expertise as a life coach to this channel today, which I think is a very good thing actually. So why is potential discovery? Let's start with what is potential discovery, or should I say, what is potential? Potential are things that you, or is the thing that you possess that could actually facilitate an easy or an effortless and faster way to do something. Or potentials are the things that you possess that could actually enhance a smooth running of a scheme. And why is potential important? Why is it important for us to discover the potentials that we have? So, I've always thought about maximal lifestyle. So when you say you actually maximized life, is that you lived life to a point of significance at a reasonable and honorable age, which differs in different circumstances actually. So, and significance is actually geared by the level of success you've achieved. And the level of success you've achieved is geared by the purpose that you choose to chase. And the purpose you choose to chase oftentimes is as a result or is geared by the potentials you possess. Now, the mistake a whole lot of us make in life is that we oftentimes omit the first step of discovering potentials first, and we go straight for purpose. We start looking for purpose so that we can use the purpose to chase success and use success to chase significance. And I think it's one of the reasons why a lot of us crash on the road or on the journey to success. Even at times when you achieve a temporary success, you don't have the capacity to hold on to it for a long time. That's because you didn't even analyze yourself before you venture into that endeavor. I know it could be affected, or it could be actually remodeled by different things, different factors. Of course, I actually agree to that. But beyond act of God, beyond uncontrollable circumstances, a lot of us had actually made the first mistake before the issue of act of God and uncontrollable circumstances even decides to set in. Now let's look at, having said that, which means it's important that you go for potential first. It is what makes you that would give you the opportunity to decipher what path you should journey in life. If let's take for instance, if something has been, let me say, something has been molded to look like a fish, it will not be able to fly. except it is molded like a bird. So if your construction, the who you are, is not aligning with the path you want to tread, if you have been modeled as, for instance, a monkey, and you now decide to say you want to venture into aquatic endeavors, you are going to sink eventually. I'm just using that as an example, anyways. So, without too much um, talk, what are the categories of discovery? What are the things, what are the factors of discovery? I wouldn't say categories, so I would just say factors. So the first one is biological construction. And let me tell you, potentials can actually be passive or active. So, I mean, it could actually be active or reactive. So if it is active, it means to do. If it is reactive, it means to exhibit. So most importantly, in aspect of traits and behaviors. So your potential could be in physical ability. It could be in emotional abilities. So I'm saying that it could be in the classes of those two things. And if you decide to chase one of them, it's fine. As long as it is a place where you find ease, which is something we can always discuss later anyways. So the first one, like I said, the first factor, like I told you, the types of potential is passive and active and reactive. So the first factor of discovery is biological construction. So apparently when you look at somebody, you know that they came into being as a result of one thing or the other. So biological construction have two categories. One, heredity. Two, genetic modulations. Now let me start with heredity. Most of what makes us biologically is as a result of what was passed down from the two chromosomes that came together to become us. All right. So that's why you see sicknesses being passed down, some kind of behavior being passed down, some kind of traits being passed down, and on like that. Okay. Secondly, genetic modulation. For instance, what people eat 10 years ago, I can bet you it's not the same thing we eat in this modern age and time. The food we eat is changing, the water we drink is changing, the kind of air we even breathe is changing. Because talk about global warming, talk about climatic conditions, changing climatic conditions, and all of the, all of the likes. Depletion of the ozone layers. So it means that this thing is affecting what we breathe in. So basically, the product we are going to have when a baby is forming is going to be quite different from what we used to have. The combination of the things that actually modulate the genes, even though they were hereditary. So a lot of things can also work on the cells, the hormones of this baby coming to the world, the food, the atmosphere, and so on. So these are the two determinants when it comes to biological construction. And boom, a child is born. Tabula rasa, of course. Meaning as a clean slate. And how does this thing now affect your potentials? You could be born naturally flexible. It could easily help you become a sport person, meaning that what I, as a person who is born stiff, for instance, would have to put extra effort into for it to work for me, you can do it with ease. In terms of reactive, you could have some certain emotions, some certain body language or traits that could help in a certain aspect of life. For instance, if you are very calm, you'll be very good in R&D. If you are very calculating, you'll be good in R&D, you'll be good in research, you'll be good in you know, preparations, drafting, proofreading. It takes a lot of calmness to do all of that. Some level of, you know, quietness in the brain. And not all of us can actually enjoy that luxury. It's not, yes, it's luxury actually, but not all of us could enjoy it. So if you belong to a category or a class of persons who enjoy that kind of luxury, who can easily sit down with all of the calmness in their heart and brain, they are very observant, they are very, very, they are very, very calm in their spirit, in their body language and everything. They'll be good in those aspects of life. Which brings me to the saying that a lot of times, potentials are actually pointers to the path you are supposed to troll in life. They are actually pointers to your purpose. They are pointers to where your success resides. So when you find something in your heart, I mean, inside of you that you know you can do well above others, it's simply pointing you to where your money resides. You know, for instance, skill sets. There are some traits that comes together that gives you a skill set that would be fruitful when it comes to money making. So that's the essence of active and reactive biological construction. And the next one is environment. You know, there's this thing I used to say, and I feel like it's a principle. I want to say it's a law actually. I say the end product of everyone, what you become eventually, is as a result of the people that you pass through and that pass through you. So men makes man. The man that you become today is as a result of the men. And when I say men, I'm using it as a general gender. It includes everybody. So I'm saying human. For all of the human beings that has passed through you and that you have passed through, the summation of all of them is what you eventually become. Whether from your subconscious or consciousness, there's a way you pick an atom of who they are, of who everybody is, everybody that passed through you, the atom of who they are. There's a way you pick those atoms up and you put the puzzle pieces together. That's what makes you. Now, when you talk about people stroke environment now, slash environment, because it's in this context, it's the same thing. We have active environment and you've got passive environment. So in terms of active environment, that's your close contact, the ones you bond with closely. So man is a social animal. I'm sure a lot of us have heard that saying quite a lot of times. Man is a social animal, meaning that we are wired to live in a community. We are wired to have people around us. We are wired to work in a team, in a group. That's the nature of man. Man is not created to be an island on his own. That's why the last stage of, most times, the last stage of suicide is withdrawal syndrome. Go and look at the series of people who have committed suicide. I think I've said it on this channel several times. They will tell you few days before they committed suicide, they stopped talking to people, they locked themselves in, or for months they've actually withdrawn from the society. So it means that when you begin to see someone who is withdrawing from bonding, I do not mean a large group, but when you completely withdraw entirely from bonding, then there's a psychological defect. I can assure you of that. You are gradually becoming dysfunctional. Be that as it may, what I'm saying categorically or in summary is that now that we know that man is a social animal, Now, the people you socialize with has two categories: passive and active. I mean, active, yes, and passive. So the active ones are the ones you have direct bond, close bond with. Your family, your close friends are in this category. So the person you become, because this is way much stronger than your biological construction. Sometimes you, before you know it, you are even a shadow of who you are biologically by the caliber of people you decide to live with for probably a long period of time. You become a shadow of who you are biologically. And I can tell you, if there's any one of these categories of any factors, so to say, that wears out easily, is the biological construction part. It could easily wear out, though not 100%. There's an aspect that is unchangeable. I can't go deep into that today. But I can tell you, if you are flexible, no matter how flexible you are, there's another biological phase of your life, for instance, that you will get to probably as a result of aging and all of that. It begins to wear out. It begins to wear out. Anyways, away from that, I'm just saying that the kind of people you surround yourself with is even much more important than your biological construction, because these people can remodel you. They can actually remake you. You can completely be emancipated from who you are naturally by the caliber of people you decide to mingle with. So let's talk about the passive environment. The classroom, your colleagues, the neighborhood. When you look at the character of someone who developed in a very violent slum, it's quite different from someone who developed in a peaceful and elite neighborhood. Why? Because there's a way, the mind is a very magnetic organ. It's a very magnetic, the mind of a man is very magnetic. I mean, yes, when I say man, it's a general gender. I mean human. The mind of a human is very magnetic. Now, something that you saw on the road, for instance, and you might not even consciously realize that you saw it. Has it ever occurred to you that sometimes when you lie on your bed at night and you're about to doze off, the picture of that thing just flashes through your eyes, or the thought of it just flashes through your mind? That's to tell you that your mind actually picked it up subconsciously. So this is how your neighborhood affects you. The things you see on daily basis, your ears, your eyes are picking stuff. They are picking beats, puzzle pieces. And these puzzle pieces will come together one day and give you a full-blown edifice in you. So for instance, though I know there are exceptions, which we are going to discuss when we talk about self-development, which is the last factor of this phase. So that's for passive environment. Every community has a lifestyle. If you look at it, let's look at a classroom, for instance, or a particular set of students. Let's say the entire students in their semi-final year, whether they are classified into different subgroups or whatever. But let's just look at the entire set of them. There's a lifestyle they will possess that's going to be different from the lifestyle of the set after them or before them. This class of students will react differently to things. And the funny thing is, perhaps if the set behind them comes into that same class, they might give the same reaction. But in the present class where the one behind them is, you might not get the same reaction that you're going to get from this particular set. So I'm just saying that every group, every community has a lifestyle. And this lifestyle is actually influenced by a larger percentage of them who has come together to form that community. And the others, at least a very large percentage of the others, will learn to align, to conform with this lifestyle. And before you know it, it becomes a lifestyle of that community. So this is how your environment influences you. For every place, there's a kind of lifestyle. That's why there are cultures. That's why there are norms. That's why there are lifestyles all over the world. The way a person, even though they are even though both of them are black men, the way a person from Uganda will behave at times is likely going to be different from the way a Nigerian will behave, even though they are both black men. That is the influence of the community. So that's why you've got cultures. Now, away from the people and the environment now, the last one, which I think is the ultimate, the supreme, is you. You may have been disappointed by the first two factors. Biological construction might not be in your favor. Let's take a look at someone who wants to do sport. You were born naturally obese. I have seen players who went from unhealthy to healthy. I have seen players who went from obese to fit. Athletes who went from being obese to fit. They became fit. So basically, that's the power of self-development. That's why I said it's the supreme. So probably you've been disappointed by the first factor and the second factor, because some people, they are so irritated by their environment or the people around them that they are living their daily life striving to become the opposite of where they came from. The people that made them, they are trying to become the opposite. Some people, the reason why they are praying to marry right is because they have experienced what it means to be in a dysfunctional marriage as a result of their parents. Some people, the reason why they are praying to be rich at all costs, they are striving to be rich, is because they have experienced what it means to be in a poor home. So basically, what I'm trying to say, and they have actually assessed their parents based on their own knowledge now, the independent knowledge. They have actually seen the reasons why those parents didn't, succeed. Maybe, at least to their own knowledge, it could be something different. But then at least to their own knowledge, now they realize why those parents didn't succeed. So they are trying everything possible not to be those people. So which is why you must realize that before you judge people, it is very dangerous. Yes, it is necessary, but not compulsory for you to judge people by their background. Because at times, the background could even be the reason why a person is dysfunctional in the first place. So you must be sure that the person you are trying to deal with is an exception. It belongs to the class of people trying to run away from that dysfunctional environment. People want to become elite because they've experienced what it means to be a product of the slums. I don't know. It's a cycle. It's a cycle. It's a mental emancipation. So this is why the third factor is supreme. If the two first factors have actually disappointed you in a way or the other, now you have the third factor, yourself, which is the supreme, yourself. Now you've got some biological constructions that is actually hindering you from doing what you like. You go for necessary trainings and all of the likes. There's a way you change the course of things in your journey of life. But it takes three procedures for you to be able to upturn the disappointment of those two first factors, for instance. And the first one is determination. There's a Rosicrucian quote I used to like. It says that no barrier can circumvent, no trial or barrier can circumvent the success of a determined soul. So when a person is determined, except the man is not desperate enough, there's nothing the mind of a man can conceive that his hands cannot achieve. Think of how we have actually remodeled the whole world. The way we lightened up everywhere, the way we journeyed to the moon and back, the way we discovered space and other, other universe. Okay? We know that there's Earth, we know that there's Jupiter, we know that there's Pluto somewhere. We discovered all of those things. All other planets that makes the universe, all of those research and conclusion came from the willingness of one person to find out, to create this thing. As long as it is visible, it is possible. As long as you can create the picture, you can visualize it, then it's a possibility already. Because the most important tool that man has is man himself. I say it all of the time. So you've got to be determined and desperate enough. The second one is discipline. Now, the reason why you do not possess the things you are hoping for is because you possess some things that cannot live in the same space with those things you are hoping for. Otherwise, those things will be present in the first place. So it simply means you have to be so disciplined to let the things you know now, you have to let them go. The way your heart has been conditioned, the brainwashing, the wrongful teachings, the wrongful knowledge, because life is all about learning, relearning, and unlearning. You have to start reconditioning your mind. It's part of discipline. The cultures, the norms you have always known, the mindset, the mentality you have always known, you have to let those things go at times. Some of them are injurious. And it takes discipline. It takes a lot of courage because it's going to cause pain. Addictions that you've always known, it's going to cause you a lot of pain to let it go so that other things can come in and give you a breath of fresh air. Lastly is acquisition of knowledge. And when I say knowledge, there are two things. You either do or read. Now, the class of, for instance, Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, and all of that, they had to keep doing. The more they do, the more they know. And the second category is read. So oftentimes, the more you read, the more you know. The more you know, the farther you go. You go further by the kind of knowledge you carry, not the strength. It is not strength that carries you in this new world. It is not even capability. I have seen people with anger issues, yet you can't just do away with them because you know that they are an asset. They are assets to the community, to the organization. You know they are behaviorally dysfunctional, but you just have to keep them around because of their functions, because of what they carry in the brain. So it is very simple. Modern age and time, you don't go far by capabilities, by behavioral, accuracy and all of that. You go far by knowledge. You go far by knowledge. Even though there are exceptions to that, yes, because at the end of the day, I believe that the good things that come to you depends on how likable you are. Yes, it's the truth. But I can tell you that they're going to keep you around as long as they don't find a better replacement at the moment, no matter how dysfunctional they think you are. So, which is why knowledge acquisition is very important. My father used to say something that if you are going to be on the top of something, you have to go down below first. Meaning that you have to unravel every single detail of that thing. You have to be a master. You have to have this expertise that makes you stay on top. If you have seen the depth, you are going to stay on top of it. That's what knowledge does to you. So those are the two categories of knowledge: doing and reading. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. That brings me to a conclusion of this session about potential discovery. So the summary is just that the compilation of all of these things, active and behavioral aspect of your traits, of your capability, is what makes you function in life, is what gears your purpose. Okay, and your purpose gears your success gears your significance. Thank you so much. I really appreciate for all of you who comes to this channel from time to time. I also love being in front of the camera, seeing myself on the screen all the time, talking about the thing that I'm very passionate about. I really appreciate everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say that enough. So hopefully, I know that from time to time we're going to be back on this channel again, unraveling different topics, either from the sermons or general life coaching class like this. Thank you so much. I love you all. Bye.